Brothers and sisters, thank you for joining me today. Today we are going to talk more about this perfected love and the harvest that needs to be brought in and the healing of the nations that will happen through this perfected love. So today we're going to be talking about John 21 and also there's some other scriptures that I will give. So in John 21, this is the third time that Christ visits his disciples after his death, and he asks them. The disciples had gone out on the boat fishing, and when Christ appeared to them, he asked them, if they had any meat. So we're going to talk about the symbolism of these parables and the things that Christ was teaching through them. So he asked them first if they had any meat, and they said no, they didn't have any meat. If we understand, the meat is what Yahshua has taught us. And verse 21 literally has to do with the end harvest coming in. And what Yahshua has directly taught us, and in that true discipleship, in that personal one-on-one relationship with him, he's taught us what true perfected love is. As he's taken us back into the heavenly realm, back into Father and Mother's presence, we have learned this perfected love. So when he's asking them, he sees the disciples, and they are literally they are catching nothing. And then he tells them, cast your net to the right side of the boat. The right side is go back to what I've taught you to do, because it's easy for us to go back to just what's comfortable in the world, and the whole purpose of Christ's mission was to push us out of our comfort zones. And still to this day in the spiritual, as he's doing, as he's walking us through discipleship, he's pushing us out of our comfort zones. So the symbolism of this is, the left side of the boat represents the world, and it leaves us empty. And you can't bring in the harvest with the truths of the world. You bring in the harvest, the truths of eternity, the truths in which Yahshua and Father and Mother teach you. So the right side of the boat represents the harvest. As we now apply what Yahshua taught us, we create from a place of abundance. The net was full of fish, not lack. When we apply what we have learned directly from Yahshua, it will not only bring in the harvest and heal the nations, it will bring confusion on the enemy's head, because now we're not doing what the people are not doing what they've always done. They're no longer performing the false traditions of the fathers. They're literally performing the true traditions of the fathers, and that heals the nations. And it's all done with perfected love. It's time to become doers of what Yahshua has taught us, not what the world has taught us. So in John 21, Christ asked Peter 3 different times, "Lovest thou me?" So this perfected love, when Christ fulfilled what he did for us, the world was created by love. He sacrificed his life and atoned for us, bled in Gethsemane, died on the cross, sacrificed his life for us. And it was done out of that love, out of that perfected love. So in John 21, Yahshua is asking Peter, "Lovest thou me?" The only thing we can give back to Yahshua for what he did for us is our love. And he's explaining in John 21, this is how you show me love in return. This is what I ask. If you truly love me, feed my lambs. If you truly love me, feed my sheep. Feed them the truths I have directly taught you, not what the world has taught you, not what the world has taught them. And that's done by perfected love. So it's teaching his truths, Yahshua's truths, now through walking through true discipleship in that personal relationship with Yahshua, and not receiving it from the world, but receiving it directly from the heavenly realm, from Yahshua. And you have to be, this is why it's so important to be born again in the Spirit. Sorry, I know the lighting is really bad in here. is because if we are not born again in the Spirit, we will miss it. So in John 6:63, it states, "It is the Spirit that quickeneth, Spirit that testifies of truths to us. The flesh profiteth nothing. The words that I speak unto you, they are spirit and they are life." So are we ready to receive the Spirit and truly be born again in the Spirit so we can understand what is being spoken and what is being done? So I would like you to, go through the scriptures, go through the Gospels and see everything that Yahshua taught and the examples that he set, because Yahshua was hated because what he taught was different from what the people knew. What he taught was uncomfortable to the people because it went against their false traditions of the fathers that they had been taught. We have been in a curse of false traditions, and the curse is being lifted. It's being broken. And so these false traditions this darkness has to come into the light. And that's part of this end harvest, is to bring forth the light and the truths of eternity. And so Yahshua was hated for the truths that he spoke and the things that he performed. If you see somebody cast out a devil, are you going to freak out? If you see somebody heal the sick, are you going to be like, oh, we can't do that? Are you going to see somebody forgive and have grace for somebody who's committed adultery? Or are you going to cast the first stone? Look at all the examples that Yahshua taught, because we are going to see Yahshua lives in us, just like Father and Mother live in us. He has walked us through true discipleship. And so if he lives in us, he's asking us, if we have been through true discipleship, the light that ignites this world on fire is this perfected love. And he's saying, if you love me, now I freely gave to you, now freely give. And so we have stepped into a place of we are to become doers of the word, doers of what he told us. This is part of casting our net onto the right side of the boat. No longer do what the world has taught us. Do what Yahshua has taught us. And like Christ, he warned us. They hated what he brought to the table. And so because it was different from the world. And so that's to be expected as you walk in true discipleship. It's going to be hated by the world because the world, their way of doing things has been in a false sense of false traditions of the fathers. And the whole purpose of this was to break the false traditions of the fathers. So brothers and sisters, it's time to cast our nets onto the right side of the boat and bring in the end harvest. I encourage all of you to read John 21 for yourself. Read John 6:63, and also, we'll see Matthew 13 completely unfold. So those are some scriptures that, feel free to read on your own. But this is the third time that Christ is asking his people, step forward, bring in the end harvest. It's time. And if we love him, then we will apply what he has taught us and what we have learned. And it is truly for the healing of the nations. Have a wonderful day.